I'm sorry about the delay in posting. I went out with my friends yesterday to the lake and to a street food fair, hoping to introduce Martin and Jen. However, Martin canceled. Maybe I should be thankful for that. When I got up this morning to post the continuation, I couldn't find the file with my journal in it. I'm more determined than ever that I need to post, so I've been working on rewriting. Truthfully, I've had difficulty. My brain has just felt foggy recently. Have you ever felt like you're in a dream, even though you know you're awake? I finally told Alina about Martin by sharing these links, as she is my closest friend here. Of course, she thought I was being paranoid/crazy. She decided that we should go to Martin's work today to put me at ease, but I've been feeling sick since Friday. It seems to have finally caught up with me and I'm bedbound. I told Alina not to go, but she's the most stubborn person I know and ended up going on her own instead. I haven't heard from her all day, and it has me worried. I've been on the phone with everyone trying to track her down. It's now 2 a.m. No word from her. I don't know if she's playing a joke, but if she is, it isn't funny. I will update you all tomorrow. I haven't tracked down Amy either. All I have is her first name and a picture of her in my head. I know where Clement lives, but I don't think I want to go back there. I don't know what to do, honestly. I don't think I'll get any sleep tonight. I've been reading your comments and checking into your theories. One thing I saw pop up a lot: Martin's eyes are blue and have always been blue. It was Peter's eyes I saw glow that night. Peter's eyes are green. I don't know much more about Martin's background than what I've already told you. His father is a pastor and his mother is a nurse, according to him. He has a brother that was at the music festival as well that night, but I never met him. He's from the country I'm living in, though he grew up about an hour north of the city, near the border with another country. I'm going to post the next part tomorrow as soon as the 24-hour limit is up. I think it's really important that I catch everyone up to the present as soon as I can. And of course, another nightmare came. I was walking along a tall, rocky cliff face. I was aware of the crashing waves below as I walked directly along the edge of the drop-off. I was so close to falling into the angry sea that I had to step one bare foot in front of the other like I was walking a tightrope. There was a fog around me, thick enough that I could only see a few feet ahead. As I continued, I noticed a path in the fog leading away from the cliff. At the end was a large wooden platform. I could only see the base at first, but as the fog cleared, 3 figures were revealed: Nils, Elva, and Blair. I met Nils and Elva, 2 Swedish SOG officers, through Blair, who is a U.S. Navy veteran herself. They are the 3 toughest people I know, and I consider them to be some of my dearest friends, but in the dream, they were standing still as rope hung around their necks, only watching me with vacant eyes as I slowly moved toward a lever to the right. By the lever was a small staircase leading up to the platform. I walked up and worked my way down the line of my friends, taking each of their left forearms and slicing 3 parallel lines down them with a curved knife I held once again, watching as their blood pooled and collected it in 3 small stone bowls. I waited until I saw their skin begin to turn stark white. I went back to the lever, glanced once more at my friends standing there. Off to the side, barely visible in the fog, I saw it. That pulsating, inky pool of shadows. It was the darkness around the man in the pinstripe suit. It was the darkness at the convent that day. I knew. It was waiting. As the darkness ebbed and moved, I reached up. With one pull of the lever, my friends were left to dangle at the end of their nooses. I watched their twitching for a few seconds before their bodies went slack. I made my way back to where 3 overflowing bowls of blood remained. I collected the bowls, arranging them in a triangle, before sitting down on the platform. Raising the knife to one wrist, I slashed it across, then transferred hands and cut the other. I was still clenching the blade as I lifted my bloody appendages to drain into the bowls. As my vision faded, the darkness moved closer and closer in the fog. When I woke, it was 3:13 a.m. as usual. I felt the compulsion to check my phone. One missed message, sent at 3:07 a.m. Was going through old songs and found this one. I forgot how awesome it is. It was from Martin and contained a YouTube link to an old song I myself had loved back in high school. I believe in a thing called love by The Darkness. I didn't respond. It took me nearly 2 hours to go back to sleep as it was. When I woke the next morning, I noticed Martin's black leather jacket hanging on the chair at my desk. It had been warm a few days ago when we'd gone rafting, and I could neither remember Martin wearing it or me borrowing it. Hey, I think I took your jacket on Wednesday. It's at my apartment. I sent him a quick message. Yeah, you got a little wet and needed it. Smiley face. Martin responded. Do you think you could bring it by my place today? I can send you my address. Then maybe we can watch a movie. I was hesitant, but against my better judgment, I made plans to go by Martin's apartment after work. I know most of you are wondering why, after all these things, I continue to see him. I don't have a good answer for you. I just didn't believe. After work that day, I made my way to the northeast side of the city, where Martin's address was. The building looked normal enough. Plain, white, and rectangular with small balconies. Most of the balconies had brightly colored plants hanging from them as per usual in my city. Martin was waiting at the top of the stairs of the building to welcome me with a kiss. We talked on our way to his apartment, and he informed me that he had already started to make dinner for us. While he was off in the kitchen tossing a salad, and I was lingering in the living room listening to some old blues records, someone began pounding on the door. Do you think you could get that? Martin asked from the kitchen. Sure. I headed over to the entrance, wondering what was so urgent. I am not a large person. I barely break the 5-foot mark myself, but even I had to look downward to see the tiny old woman standing in front of me. Her fragile old hands were still raised as though they were about to break down the door, and her leather hide skin was pursed around a frown set on her aged brown face. She looked like the human version of my great aunt's Sharpay. I'd never seen another soul with that many wrinkles. As soon as she saw me, her milky blue eyes went wide. She began screeching, thin arms waving around wildly beneath her shawl and upwards toward heaven. I didn't understand what she was saying. She wasn't speaking a language I had heard before. Her hands flew out and grabbed my face tightly. I tried to pull away, but the old woman was much stronger than she looked. She calmed. Suddenly, a hideous grin stretched across her old rawhide skin, exposing a few yellowed teeth. She cocked her head to the side, neck stretching further and further until her ear was on top of her shoulder. She said one word. It sounded like Tenebra. "What the fuck is wrong with you, lady?" I screamed, freaked out to the maximum. The grin slid off her face as quickly as it had come, and she settled into a glare. She began whispering under her breath, stare never leaving me. Suddenly she spat at me, and I raised an arm to furiously wipe at my cheek where the moisture had landed. I heard Martin's voice from behind me. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but something like fear was now reflected in those cataracts. Her cackling stopped, and she backed away as Martin came to sling an arm around my shoulder. "Are you okay?" "No? What the fuck was that? She just spit in my face, Martin. Where the fuck were you?" I raised my hand before he could give an answer. "I don't give a shit." I cut him off. "Where is your bathroom?" Martin pointed me in the direction of the bathroom, and I got cleaned up. After I had calmed down a little, he explained that she was his crazy neighbor, a 90-year-old woman whose family refused to put her in a nursing home, despite a severe case of dementia. I was still disturbed by what had happened. Something had felt so off about the old woman. And it was the second person who had gone crazy with Martin around. We ate dinner in relative silence. "Would you like to start the movie? I think you'll like it. You said you like a good horror story, right?" he said, trying to smooth things over. We ended up on Martin's couch, though I still kept some distance between us. The film he'd chosen was Senentunsky. As the movie went on, I remember growing more and more uneasy. I won't describe the film, but it is messed up. I don't remember falling asleep, yet I awoke the next morning in a bed. The last thing I remembered was Martin giving me some of his boxers and a t-shirt to sleep in for the night. I had went to the bathroom to slip out of my jeans and blouse. But that was just after the movie ended. I had been wide awake, too disturbed by the film to fall asleep. There was a note on the nightstand. "There's coffee in the cabinet and fresh fruit in the fridge. Help yourself, smiley face. I'm sorry I had to leave so early, but I needed to run some experiments at the lab. Don't worry, I slept on the couch. I left your clothes on the chair in the bathroom." It was from Martin, signed in his elegant cursive at the bottom. Going to the bathroom to collect my clothes and wash my face, I immediately noticed something was missing. My grandmother's necklace. Nana always wore the same ring, an antique Kentucky cluster, for as long as I could remember. When she died, I had the diamond part made into a pendant so I could always have a little piece of her close to my heart. I never took it off. My heart was dropping into my stomach as I thought about losing the most precious thing I owned. "Have you seen my grandmother's necklace?" It's the round pendant I always wear." I sent to Martin, but he didn't respond. I prayed that it was at my apartment by some miracle. I had to go home and change anyway, so I called into work and told them I would be a few hours late. When I went to change, I noticed something weird about my clothes. I had been wearing one of my favorite blouses. This shirt was just a little different. Pleats missing from the front, square buttons instead of round, maroon in color rather than deep eggplant, but I put it on anyway. My grandmother's necklace wasn't at my apartment. I sent Martin another message asking him to look for it, and cried on my way to work at its anticipated loss. I didn't hear from him until late that evening, confirming that the necklace was not at his place either. The apartment I live in has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Jan and Bernard share a bathroom, while I have my own connected to my bedroom. That night I was taking a shower when something happened I still cannot explain. I was in the middle of washing my hair when I heard the door to my bathroom slam shut. In nearly the same instance, the long fluorescent tube light that accessed the sole illumination in the small room blinked out. I was in total darkness. I fought back the panic, scrambling to grab onto the curtain and head to the light switch on the opposite side of the room. It was only a few feet away. And then I heard it. Very, very faint whispers. It was like listening to a recording of many people talking, but with the volume turned down to nearly silent. I froze. The whispers got just a little bit louder before quieting down suddenly, and there it was again. Bang! 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 The banging from the convent. And with the banging, my ears started ringing. I gripped at the wall in the dark, trying to stay upright while my senses were attacked. I felt a breeze come in, ruffling the shower curtain so that it grazed the edge of my leg. The door had been slammed shut. The window wasn't open. Where was it coming from? I didn't have much time to think before I felt a sharp stinging in my thigh. It was perhaps the worst pain I have felt in my life. It was red hot, throbbing, extending the length from hip to kneecap so bad that I thought my thigh might have been being detached from my body. I screamed louder than I've ever screamed in my life. I heard footsteps racing to the door and a voice bellowing my name, asking me if I was okay. It was Jan. I couldn't get out the words to respond. "Tara, what's going on?" he yelled. I whimpered as Jan threw back my shower curtain. "Tara, please say something." But my words were gone. Jan began cursing in Czech before sending some reassurances my way and handing me a towel. I wrapped myself in it before stepping out, and Jan averted his eyes, trying to spare me some dignity perhaps. "Watch your feet. It looks like the bulb busted," he warned. There were small shards of white glass littering the floor from the bulb above. He led me back into my bedroom, which was mercifully properly lit. "Shit," he cursed. "What happened? Did you fall?" I glanced down to see blood running down my leg and pulled the towel upwards. On the top of my left thigh were 3 deep, parallel slashes. Blood was seeping out of the wounds from the torn red flesh. I should have told Jan what happened, but I didn't. He helped me bandage my thigh with some gauze he had. He helped me into bed, but I didn't want to be alone, and I begged him not to leave me. So he pulled our recliner into my bedroom, so I would drift off at long last, assuring me I'd be okay. I haven't slept without the light on since. You'd be amazed how much darkness there is all around you. Sometimes, light doesn't even help. It can't reach everywhere. The next morning, I messaged Beth, telling her I needed to talk to her ASAP. I was going to tell her everything. We made plans to Skype that evening. Hey girl, before you say anything, I have someone I need to introduce you to. Beth's smile was wider than I'd ever seen. Ian! She called, and a handsome, dark-haired man entered into her camera. Tara, this is my Ian, my new boyfriend. Beth gushed. I was speechless. She had never mentioned she'd been seeing anyone. I asked her when she'd met him, and she said they'd been seeing each other for over a week. I knew then that I couldn't tell her about what had been going on. She was too happy. We ended the call with Beth telling me that Dylan had broken his ankle during his volleyball tournament and that I should call Nina and Rhett because they weren't doing too well with all the pressure of the wedding gone wrong. She also warned that I should ask them about Max but wouldn't tell me why. Everything was falling apart. But it had barely begun.